Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Cocktails and Rocktails with me, your most notorious groupie, Allison Rouse, author of this little guy right here. These other books as well, you guys. Where you can get my books, my merchandise, everything. Go down in that description, fiddle about, check it out. And as always, I have to start being thankful because I'm so thankful for the family, the community, everybody that is being so amazing, so wonderful, so supportive, and just so open and sharing yourselves with me. It is so amazing. It's what makes this whole channel worth it. So thank you guys so much. And you guys, today we are going to talk about something that is kind of obscure. If you know about it, you knew about it. This is a little bit of an older story about 2008, between 2008, 2009, possibly 2010. So we're going to talk about what happens when English rockers leave their wives for younger knockers. Something about that today. And we are just going to I made a little champerita. What I do with this is I take some, sparkling champagne and pre-made Jose Cuervo. I use the strawberry tequila mix or margarita mix. I call it champerita. So everybody, it's really good. I haven't tried it with the strawberry. I usually just use the regular tequila mix. So, all right, everybody, grab your Ritas, kick up your feet. Let's have a little cautionary cocktails and rocktails. Cheers, big ears. Really good with the strawberry. Definitely going to swallow that over Kipwinger any day. But I like it with the regular margarita mix better. So, okay, and like I said today, you guys, I've given you a little hint. This story is kind of obscure. I followed it while it was happening because, it was just like 4 or 5 years after, well, probably about 7. After everything that happened with John, it was still really fresh. It was still circulating in the papers, still just really prominent, not prominent, but still prominent there over my shoulder like a monkey on your back. And following this story kind of made me feel not so alone. Because, women of scandal, we're few and far between. So when we see something else happening to someone else, another woman of scandal is being born, I'm following that because, like I said, makes me feel so not alone. Because this scandal, like I said, I know I haven't said what it is yet, you guys. This scandal, because we don't really follow this guy. I talked about him in one of the previous videos of the guitars that was signed by all these rock stars. And like I said, nobody gave a shit about Ronnie Wood's signature, did they? And nobody gave a shit about this because we don't pay attention to Ronnie Wood. But this really was attention worthy. So we all know that Ronnie Wood met his wife Jo in about 1977. She was 22, fresh out of a divorce that she had a child. Guy she married when she was like 18, 19. By the time she was 20, 21, she was divorced from her first husband. She meets Ronnie Wood at a party. He was following her around. I guess he showed her an album. Total typical cheesy rock star pickup way, right? Says, this is me, dude, this is me. Look, I'm in the Rolling Stones. So she's like, she was really young. She was intrigued, single mom. There you go. She was kind of adventurous, Jo, and she always kind of did her own thing. So she meets Ronnie. They get together. They stay together. They get married around 1985. So about 8 years into their relationship. During that relationship, he was with another Margaret Trudeau. I don't think it was the Prime Minister, Margaret Trudeau, or she was an actress. I'm not sure who she was, but he was with Sable Starr during this time. Apparently, he was with Sable Starr for a few years, hung out with her for a while. So, still seeing Jo. They decide to get married, 1985. Jo kind of turns a blind eye to his cheating. But there really doesn't seem to have been much cheating with Ronnie throughout the years. Because, much like Patty, Jo went on tour with the Stones quite a lot. And I saw her when I met the Rolling Stones. Members only video, you guys. Become a member. Keeping the shirt. So she was always on tour with him. They had their kids. They took him around the world. We're this happy little unit family. So not much cheating on the road. Where did the cheating happen? Well, kind of at home. So years pass by. They're blissful. They're happy. Joe's not bothered because whatever cheating Ronnie did or is doing doesn't cross into her world. Cool. No problem with that. That's what her marriage, they make their own rules. No problem. Well, about 22 years later, because there was probably other infidelities. If you look at who's dated who, there was other women along the line, which of course there's going to be. Ronnie Wood was trying to be like Mick Jagger, and Mick Jagger's got his own finesse, and Keith Richards into his own wife. So 22 years down the line, their kids are grown, they're out of the house. What's the story we hear? Grown kids, get out of the house. Ronnie Wood decides to go out. Joe doesn't want to go out. She wants to have a night at home. They're in their probably 40s, 50s, probably around my age at the time this happened. Like I said, it was 2008, 2009. So Ronnie decides to go out with a couple of mates. They hit up this club in Mayfair, which is the neighborhood that Ronnie and Joe live in London. Very high and very private. Jimmy Page lives there. I'm sure Mick had a house there. It's a lot of musicians have. Actors, famous people, they have all houses. Beautiful neighborhood. Love Mayfair. So anyway, decided to go out for a few drinks one night. And English rock wives, just, they should have watched their men closer at home. I didn't see John a whole lot on the road. I saw more when I was in London or Las Vegas. Before, I met him way before. But anyway, whole other story. So Ronnie goes out one night, and my guess, it wasn't just a regular nightclub. I'm guessing it was more Stringfellows, because John, Mick, Ronnie, Keith, actors, all hung out. Everybody who's anybody, big name rock stars, big name actors, all have gone to Stringfellows. So he goes in there just hanging out, gonna get the attention of pretty girls. Sees this girl who says she was a cocktail waitress when they met. If she was, cool. But if you were a stripper, admit it. Nothing wrong with being a stripper. So goes in, meets this girl, sees this girl across the room. She's beautiful. She's young. She's got this gorgeous body, huge natural boobs. Ooh, sorry, I'm knocking my microphone. Cats can't see my microphone, but I got a new one because the other one was just a little bit too much in my face. If something's in my face, I'm going to put it in my mouth, and I couldn't fit the microphone in my mouth. So, had to get rid of it. But anyway, so Ronnie's hanging out at this club in Mayfair, maybe Soho. Like I said, I think it was probably Stringfellows. The club was never really named. So, they start chatting up. They hit it off. They start doing the nose candy. They just have a great night. It's rock and roll. It's like a groupie's paradise, but with a little more blow than just one of those, right? So they hang out. They hit it off. They go to bed together, and he's just smitten with her. And this is her. This is her name, Ekaterina Katanova. She goes by, or Ivanova, Ekaterina Ivanova. Meets this girl. Absolutely stunning, absolutely beautiful. They get together, they keep seeing each other, and Ronnie's an artist. He likes to paint. He's had paintings sell. So he tells Joe, I'm going to go out to the country and I'm just going to be inspired and paint and find a muse. Well, he had already found his muse all right, and her name was Kat. Beautiful girl, right? So Joe is like, okay, kind of whatever. He hasn't really been home in the past few days. He's kind of distant. Your gut instinct, especially after 22 years. We know, ladies, we know. When our man's cheating on us, we fucking know. Our guts tell us. Not the clues you leave behind, because there's always clues. So Joe said she did a little bit of detective work. Where's her husband? Finds out where he is out in the West Mids, the country, wherever the hell he went. where he's painting. Well, he had found his muse. His muse, Katerina, had gone with him, and they were just having a really great rock and roll out at the big, the 70s, just like Marianne Faithfull or Jo Wood or Patty and Keith and everybody, and Anita Pallenberg, and that typical scene out in the country with your English rock star. He's painting, you're naked, you guys are drinking, you're having fun, you're in this fantasy world, you're just lounging on the couch, having your Titanic moment, your picture drawn, your tits out, your man naked, you guys are bonding, you're just in your own little world when screeching to a halt. In walks Jo Wood. She found them. Because it's not that hard. Credit card companies. So what happens? Oh God. Jo gets pissed off, sees the girl, there's a confrontation. Not too crazy, shit's kind of thrown. Ronnie's the most volatile in this little story because this is just the beginning. Just the beginning. So Joe's like, fuck you, get out of the house, you're out of here. Ronnie's like, no problem, I got my chick, right? I got young Ckers. Don't need hers. And I want you guys to take a look at this. Because later they say Ekaterina, after things ended with Ronnie, she dated a guy that looks like Ronnie, but I'm going to beg to differ. They said he looked like young Ronnie. Look at these two. I want you guys to see. Look at Jo. Look at Ekaterina. He was dating the younger version of Jo. She looks just like a young Jo. Like, seriously, like, you could see what had happened. Ronnie was getting bored. He loved his wife, but he wanted more excitement. He wasn't ready to settle down. He's still going out on the road. He's still playing with the band. He's still that guy from the Rolling Stones. And Kat really loved it. And I don't think she said she didn't care about who he was. She didn't really know who he was when they met. Someone had to tell her. And she thought, oh, cool, she'll have some fun. Well, said. The fun kind of ended abruptly. Jo kicks Ronnie out of the house. Him and Ekaterina still in this little world. They move in together. They travel the world together. They go to LA. They go out to lunch. They are making no bones. They just don't care. Quietly, the divorce is being settled behind the scene. Jo is just devastated, as you would be, as all of us have been when we find out our husband, our partner, our significant others, person we love is doing us dirty. But, Jo and Ekaterina are in this tiny little world, this bubble, this little rock star bubble that happens on the road. And I can see this, like, they might have been at home together, but I know 100% that it was more like being on the road where you're in this fantasy. You're in this little world. You're contained. You've got the people to protect you. You've got the paparazzi. You've got fans, So it becomes kind of this little fantasy bubble. And just like, that movie Labyrinth where David Bowie and the girl are in the bubble and she starts banging on the edges, of course, it comes crashing down. Because obviously the age difference definitely got to her because she's like, Ronnie was always kind of bored, but she said Ronnie was great in bed. Like, he was older, he knew how to treat her body, he was really good at certain things. No tap, tap, tap there. So, of course, he was like devouring this young body just like any man would. And like I said, they just created this fantasy world that was just so unlivable that when reality started coming in, it didn't take Jo or anything like that to destroy this relationship. And these guys, because like I said, nobody really paid attention to Ronnie. This became so big in the British press because, Ronnie had been faithful for a lot of times. They had this long marriage. Their kids were grown up. Nobody paid attention to him. So it kind of made Ronnie able to get away with messing around more than Mick Jagger or Keith Richards would have gotten away with. So anywhere Ronnie and Ekaterina went, they were in the news. The second that the tabloids got a hold of their affair and that Joe kicked him out and the divorce was happening, of course, an ex-boyfriend she had sent topless pictures to sells them to the tabloids. Sells her out. Probably for about 5,000 pounds, I'm guessing. Probably not much, because if you haven't dealt with the tabloids before, you're just going willy-nilly, taking whatever that they offer you, thinking, fuck yeah, most people are just star fucking it into their association with scandal and fame. And like I said, I followed this because it made me feel less alone in my own scandal. And I felt like, oh, welcome to the neighborhood, sweetheart. Would you like some tea, maybe a drink? But so they were, and it just got to the point where she couldn't handle it anymore. They got puppies, and it just created a strain on their marriage, on their relationship. They lived in this beautiful place in Mayfair. He took care of her. She never had to worry about a thing. You know, it's just like girls go on sugardaddy.com and don't find this shit. They get $1,200 a month from some mediocre sugar daddy, right? She didn't need to go. She just was at work one night, ran into the holy grail of sugar daddies, built this life. Well, it didn't go so good. She broke up with him. She actually broke up with him. They were fun, they were goofy, but like I said, reality comes crashing in. The bubble has to burst at some point. So they break up. And what led to the breakup was a couple things. The reality, of course, crashing in, but also because the reality comes crashing in, tensions start to mount. They start to build a pressure in this house, a beautiful house in Mayfair, in your gilded cage. And she really felt that, and it just exploded. And one night the police were called to the house, and Ronnie was taken in for domestic violence and cautioned, warned, and given a don't go near her order. So, as crazy, as wonderful as, you know, something starting and cheating and lies, something started with deception, with no respect for the people around them, started in the dirty way, it's going to end dirty. And this ended dirty. She even sold out to the tabloids, which I'm not judging her for that because I did the same thing. Sometimes you've got to tell your own story rather than let other people tell it for you. And that's what she was doing. That's what Ekaterina was doing. She told her own story. She did these beautiful, lovely pictures, went out with this guy, got engaged, went on Big Brother, the celebrity Big Brother in the UK. She was one of the first voted off, but she had an in-house relationship with one of the guys who ended up really just doing it because he wanted the showmance. He wanted to get the attention, get the scandal. And Ekaterina's a beautiful girl. She's got a gorgeous body. So out of all the people that were in the house at that time, who are you going to choose? I'm straight. I would choose her. You know, she's a hottie. So that was really the last we really saw of her. Like, I cannot find her on any type of social media, nothing. Last we heard of her, she was with this guy. They were engaged. They were happy. Then they broke up, and I think she dated somebody else, and that's the last I heard. Like, she just disappeared into the wind. And I hope she's alive and well. I hope she's happy. I hope she has a great life and all the things that she wanted. And I hope she took the money because, you know, for that tabloid, she probably got paid a few $100,000. Easily. And she was young and having fun. And I hope she had a blast with some of the money. But like I said, I hope she's doing good. I tried to find where she's gone to. Ronnie Wood dated a few other girls after her, married his now wife Susan, has twins, still an English rocker with younger knockers. And Jo was with a guy, Carl, for a while. She dated a few guys, but the last guy she was with was this guy, Carl. And she broke up with Carl around 2020 because she had a brother pass away with COVID, and he, after he passed away, found out he had a heart condition that would have given him only a few years left to live anyway. So Joe was like, well, even if he didn't die of this, he would have died from that sooner or later, probably sooner. So she decided to reevaluate her life when her brother passed away and said, well, you know what? I just don't have time for Carl. Jo was totally taking control of her life and like became this person that she was supposed to be at 22. She started doing pop-up restaurants at different estates around the UK, around the London, different restaurants. She's made her own line. She's been on a few dating shows, which one of the dating shows, I'll put the link to it, where she talks about how she found Ronnie. She did her detective work. The guy she's on the date with looks just like a bigger Ronnie, like Ronnie's pint size. This guy's a gallon size Ronnie. So tell me you have a type without telling me you have a type, Jo. But she's doing good. Ronnie seems to be staying out of the spotlight. He's just hanging and chilling with his wife. They go between France and the UK mostly, it seems. Have their kids. That's it. But I wish I really could find Ekaterina and find out what happened to her after about, because the last we really hear about her is around 2010, 2011. Like I said, she's just disappeared. Just gone. Which, God love you, girl. I wish I could have done it. But every October 9th, every June 27th, every time The Who goes on tour, you know, things ended pretty ugly with them. And the tabloids still chase them. They tried to reconcile around 2010. Obviously, it didn't work. In her interview, she called him the Goblin King. That it was just like he controlled every aspect of her life. And she didn't realize it until it just really started becoming too much pressure. And she's like, wait, I'm with this guy who's 40 years older than me, and he's a great guy, and he's wonderful, and he's taught me all this stuff about life and taken me in places that I never thought I would go. But he's just not for me. Which I totally understand, and she could probably tell us. Do Ronnie Wood and Jeff Beck, did they get their hair from the same guy? I used to call Jeff Beck's hair Rufus. So if you see me referring to Rufus, what I'm talking about. But they do kind of have the same wig, because that's not Ronnie's hair. Come on, the man's 80 years old. Maybe it is, but some tell me there might be a little bit of extra stuff that is not natural to his follicles up there. So there you guys go. There's a little story about English rockers and some younger knockers, and something that a lot of people may have heard of, but most people may not have heard of. And like I said, it was the scandal of the season from 2008, 2009 on the UK tabloids. It was crazy because we just didn't expect this from Ronnie Wood. They were just this happy couple, still going out on the road, having their little gang with, you know, they'd go out and party with Patty and Keith. And they just had this really, and even Keith called Jo to tell her to take Ronnie back. And she doesn't know if Ronnie put it up to him or not, but Keith was like, oh, you should take him back, love. It's all right. She's like, no. I'm free for the first time since I was 22 years old. It's 22 years. So they were married 22 years. So I guess they were together 30. So she must have been 40s, early 50s when all this happened. But yeah, he just went out to the club and it changed everything. But you know what? I think it changed it for the better for Jo. I don't think Ronnie's changed at all. I think he's still being faithful to someone. People don't party like they used to. The Stones aren't going out on the road like they used to. So, different scene. Like I said, he's just settled down with his wife and kids, being a dad to a whole second family whose siblings are all like 30 years older. You know, and Jo's just living her best life, and Ekaterina made her choice. Just disappeared. So if anybody can find her, let me know. Go down in that description. Let me know. But okay, guys. Hope you enjoyed today's little story. I know it's kind of choppy. It's probably not my best, but it's something worth looking into because this shit happens. And like I said, Ronnie Wood, nobody gave a shit about his signature because who pays attention to Ronnie Wood? Well, Ekaterina did. And in 2008, 2009, 2010, so did the tabloids. in the UK. Like I said, you could not pick these puppies up. And she sold out to Hello magazine. So knowing Hello magazine, yeah, she probably got at least $500,000 for doing that. And I hope she took it and is living her best life. So, all right, guys. Thank you to everybody who made it to the end of the video with me. You guys fucking rock. And to those guys who are lurking that are still here, go down, hit that subscribe, hit the bells. Become a member here. Become part of the family. Officially. Here at Cocktails and Rocktails. And we'll see you next time, guys. Cheers, big ears.